A man sits alone on a plastic stool on a Hanoi sidewalk. His coffee arrived 20 minutes ago. It is still full. He has not touched it. He is not waiting for anyone. He is not on his phone. He is just sitting. He stirs the glass once. He sets the spoon down. He watches the street, motorbikes pass. Vendors call out. The sissy is already loud. He sees none of it. He is somewhere else, and he chose to be here. To most outsiders, this looks like a man who forgot he ordered coffee. It is actually something much more important than coffee. Marta is a logistics coordinator from Poland. She moved to Ho Chi Minh City for work. Her job is about time. She tracks shipments by the minute. She drinks coffee to start moving, not to stop. One morning, her Vietnamese colleague Tuan invites her for coffee before a 9 o'clock meeting. They arrive at 8:15. The coffee comes at 8:25, a small glass of dark, dense drip coffee over ice, with condensed milk slowly sinking to the bottom. Tuan stirs it once. He sets the spoon down. He looks at the street. He does not drink. At 8:35, Marta finishes hers. She checks her phone. She checks it again. At 8:40, she can't sit still any longer. The meeting is in 20 minutes, and Tuan has not touched his glass. In her head, the math is simple. He is wasting time they don't have. "I'll see you there," she says, and walks ahead alone. She arrives early. She watches the room fill up, colleagues rushing in with damp collars, scrolling last-minute notes apologizing for near lateness. At 8:58, Tuan walks in, unhurried. He sits, opens his laptop, and says nothing until it's his turn to speak. When he does, he's the calmest person in the room. Clear, specific, unbothered by the questions that trip up everyone else. Marta watches him and feels something she doesn't expect. Doubt. He was the one still sitting with a full glass 8 minutes before start time. He is now the sharpest person in it. Her first explanation is the easy one. He just got lucky this time. A slow habit that happened not to cost him anything today. Not a pattern. Not yet, as far as she's willing to admit. She does not notice until later that she was the only person at that stall who had finished her coffee that morning. Every other person, at every other table, was doing exactly what Tuan was doing. Sitting, waiting, not drinking. She also notices, without quite registering it yet, that almost every face at the stall is male. She files it away and keeps watching. Over the next few weeks, Marta starts paying closer attention. The small stall near her office fills up between 6:30 and 8 every morning, before the workday begins. Coffee ordered, barely touched, for 30, sometimes 40 minutes. Then, close to starting time, something changes. They drink. They stand, they leave, all in under 2 minutes. It's like a switch. Her second theory forms watching this. Maybe these people simply don't have anywhere urgent to be. Maybe some of them are between jobs. It would explain the stillness, nothing pulling them forward. But she watches men in iron shirts check watches, gather laptop bags, and walk briskly toward the same office tower she works in. That theory doesn't survive the morning. One Saturday, she walks past the same stall at 10. The crowd is older, slower. One man sits with iced coffee, a glass of hot green tea beside it, and a toothpick he is doing absolutely nothing with. He was already there when she passed an hour earlier. No book, no phone, just watching the street. The stall owner refills his tea without being asked. Neither says a word. It isn't awkward. It's completely normal. A third theory, quieter than the first two. Maybe they just like their coffee slow, savoring it, letting the ice melt, the condensed milk settle deeper. A preference, not a purpose. She tests it on Tuan directly. "What do people actually talk about at cafe?" she asks. He thinks for a moment. "Not much," he says. "Sometimes football. Sometimes nothing." She asks why they stay so long, then, if they're barely talking. Tuan looks at her, faintly confused, the way you look when someone asks why people need sleep. He doesn't have an easy answer, because for him the question barely makes sense. Marta is trying to find the answer in the coffee. But the coffee was never where the answer was. She decides to check the stall itself. not just Tuan. She asks the owner, 19 years running this same patch of sidewalk in Hanoi's Hoan Kiem district, regulars known by name and by order, why nobody seems to hurry. The coffee is the reason they can sit, the owner says, wiping a table without looking up. Without buying something, you cannot stay here. So they buy something small, and they stay as long as they need. Marta asks the obvious question, need for what? The owner just shrugs and nods toward the stools, as if the answer is sitting right there. At the next table, a regular. A man in his 50s, tie loosened, glass still half full, overhears and laughs quietly. She's right, he says. I don't come here for this, he taps the glass. I come here before my day starts asking things of me. Marta asks what exactly is being protected. He thinks about it the way you think about something you've never had to explain before. 1 hour, he says. Before the boss, before my kids wake up, before the road gets bad. Nobody can take that hour if I already spent it here. She starts visiting other stalls on her walk to work, just to watch. Same rhythm, different streets, full glasses, slow hands, 2-minute exits when the clock turns. It isn't one man's habit. It's a shape the whole morning takes. Ton fills in the rest later, plainly. For many working adults, the day asks a lot before it's even begun. Presence at the office, contribution at home, respect owed in both directions. In many traditional communities, there's little built-in space to simply sit in public without a reason. Being seen doing nothing can feel, to some, like being seen failing. The cafe stall solves that quietly. The coffee is a ticket, not the destination. Every sip not taken is another minute the permission holds. Finish it and the window closes. So not yet. Marta stops reading the slow drinking as a quirk, or a preference, or an excuse. She starts reading it as a different kind of time management. Not managing tasks, but managing the self before the tasks begin. She notices something specific. On the mornings, Tuan keeps his cafe hour. He's sharper in meetings, listens better, speaks more clearly. On the mornings, he skips it. An early call. Bad traffic? He's somewhere else in his head. Not bad at his job. Just not quite arrived yet. The tradition isn't uniform across the country. A local journalist who covers urban culture in Ho Chi Minh City describes the morning coffee habit as still important, but moving. Many younger professionals there now grab a drink from a chain cafe or take it to go. The slow-sitting version seems more intact in Hanoi and smaller northern cities, where street stall culture runs deeper and chains have spread more slowly. Even within Hanoi, there's a generational line. This particular solitary, silent ritual belongs mostly to men over 40. Some younger men inherit it from their fathers. Many are drifting toward louder, more social spaces. Specialty shops, egg coffee, Wi-Fi, friends. The form is shifting, but something the cultural logic hasn't resolved catches up with her. One morning she really looks at the stools. Men, mostly men. Almost entirely men, the detail she noticed weeks ago and let go now returns, no longer background. She asks Tuan where women go for the same thing. The quiet hour, the uncommitted time, permission to just sit. He pauses. Women are busy in the morning, he says. Busy doing what? The house, he says, the kids, the food. The slow coffee hour has historically belonged to men, not to Vietnamese people in general. The stall solved a real human need. It just wasn't built for everyone. They are not selling speed. They never were. Not the stall, not the ritual, not the hour. They're protecting his one quiet hour before life begins. The same hour a man on a Hanoi sidewalk was already holding on to, full glass in front of him, before Marta ever sat down across from Tuan. What protects yours?